Welcome to the Goodine Life, where I, Jordan Goodine, share my experiences and insights on how to live the best life possible. As a NASCAR pit crew athlete, I've learned the importance of training, living, and learning. My passion for sharing my knowledge and life journeys comes from my desire to inspire change and help others achieve greatness in their own lives. Join me on this journey as we explore the ups and downs of life and how to make the most out of every moment. I believe that life is about living to the fullest and chasing your dreams, and I'm here to help you do just that. Let's get started. Hey, what's up, guys? This is the Goodine Life podcast. Today I have a guest on here, Ernesto Holden. This has been one of the most requested guests on my podcast, and we finally got it up and going, and we're going to have a great talk today. But first, before I let him introduce himself, I just wanted to say he's one of those guys that not many people get to meet in their life, you know. Having a community and having people there for you is, I always believe, one of the most important things in life, and he's been a big part in my success recently in my life, you know, getting into NASCAR and, you know, just helping me get out of my parents' house. He's been there along the way, every step of the way. You know, 2 years ago, honestly, to this date, is when I first got into the sport of NASCAR at Stewart-Haas. You know, I was just up there being a strength and conditioning intern, really didn't know anything about the sport at all. And Hollywood was one of those guys that was out there that always helped me, you know, get through it. He taught me the ropes, showed me how to first hang a tire, taught me how the industry works, and ever since then, he's been there along the way, and he's one of those guys that, you know, I look up to. I can remember being at Catawba before I even got on the car, before I even knew what being on the car meant. I remember looking at his Instagram and seeing like the posts of him in the fire suit, and I'm just like showing all my boys, I'm like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be just like this dude. And I would show him to my parents, everybody. So everybody in my family already knew who he was before he knew who they were. But yeah, this guy, he even came to my college graduation. He's just more than a friend to me. You know, I can really say he's like family. And, you know, you don't really meet those many people in your life to where they're not actually blood, but you can call them family. But that's exactly what he is. And everyone that's around him knows he's a great person. Everyone that he meets, he has a direct impact on their life. But without further ado, I'll let Hollywood go ahead and tell you a little bit about himself.
Yes, sir, man. Honestly, smooth talking slickster from the 757, baby. Norfolk, Virginia, man. Honestly, for everybody, you know, to request me up here, man, that's a big deal, and I really do appreciate the kind words, man. Like I said, I came into the sport 6 years ago, man, and I was just like you know, looking up to older guys and guys in the sport. I remember they had a guy named Kimbrough. This one they had Five look around. You know, you came in through the new era. But Kimbrough, man, he was in practice slamming those tires, man, putting it on. I'm like, man, one day I want to be like Kimbrough. You know, so I remember we had a diversity video come out, and I literally told him I would sleep in that facility if I have to, because I said somebody is the best right now, and I will be better than him. And I don't think I'm the best, but I think I'm one of the best in the sport. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate that you look up to me, man. And those words mean a lot to me, man. Really do.
Yeah, I can remember I got my first win, which everyone that's in the sport of NASCAR knows that it's pretty hard to get a win, and we were probably the least expected group to get a win, you know. Just by God's grace that it just so happened that we won in Daytona. But I can remember winning, and I don't think I've ever even said this to anyone, but I can remember when I jumped over the wall to celebrate with the team, the first person that popped up in my head was Ern. Literally, I don't think I told you that.
No,
it was Ern. It popped up in my head because I was like, that is literally just God's work. Like, this guy 2 years ago showed me how to hang a tire. Him seeing me, you know, graduate college, him seeing me get let go from my team, him seeing me sign with a new team, him seeing me go up through Devo, me sending him my film, critiquing it. still to this day, I literally sent him video today of me to get him to critique it. That's how much this guy means to me. But for him to see me, win on the biggest stage, yeah, I really didn't feel like it wasn't just me who won. I felt like he won with me, because I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for him. And that kind of goes into what we're going to get into today, which is talking about diversity and, creating your own path. I do believe that you have to create your own path in life, and sometimes it's extremely hard. There's going to be some dark days, some dark nights, but whatever it is, you have to keep pushing. And as we sit here on this couch right now and just do this podcast, there's probably been some great conversations that me and Ern have had sitting right here on this couch.
Yes, sir.
And some of them we probably couldn't even push record.
Yeah.
And let the world hear it. But this dude is just a great dude, and I want him to, just chime in and just tell me a little bit about what you think about and what's your take on creating your own path and overcoming diversity.
I think it's very important to create your own path. When I first got into the sport, like I said, I had a name, I wasn't known yet, but I was known for, being an actor and doing acting type of stuff. Like, whenever I go through diversity, or I'm going to do a depressed phase, like, I improv act, man. Like, so when you're not here, man, I literally have the camera set up over there and I'm over here acting, man, because like that helps me get through a lot, right? So what made me stand out a lot of times was the nickname Hollywood, right? I personally don't really like my first name that much, so I prefer people call me my nickname. So it's easier to remember Hollywood, right? Everybody can remember that. They'll forget your first name real quick, but yeah, Hollywood stands out. And creating your own path, that was a part of it, right? Because even my coach said, like, I known you for, your personality before I know you for your talent. Well, if you know me for my personality, I can show you my talent. You know what I mean? So that's the thing about NASCAR, man, is everybody has a different path. Some guys, they get through there quickly. Some guys get through there, it takes years sometimes, right? So you have to literally go home every day and you have to realize that. You have to accept that okay, that guy's blessing is at that time, mine will come. And I trust you, man, I've had some days, and it's in life in general, where it's like I go home and I'm like, is this ever going to be what I want it to be? Am I ever going to be as successful as I want to be? Then I have to look up to my mentors, like my father. Like, he always is in my corner when it really got bad, right? And I know everybody doesn't have that same blessing that, they can go home and talk to their father or talk to somebody to look up to. But on my darkest days, man, like, I could always call him or talk to certain friends like Haji, you know what I mean? Like, me and him, we've been very tight for years, and we always kind of help uplift each other. But creating your own path is very important. You got to create an identity. And like I said, you got to work hard. You got to grind. That's one thing about me. If I'm the most talented or not, I refuse to get outworked. I don't mind falling short because of a talent thing, but you will not outwork me.
Yeah, I love that saying, you will not outwork me. This dude, he's in the gym all the time, always working out. I remember that even being at Haas. You can, when you're young and you feel like you don't fit into an environment, you just kind of sit back and you just watch and you spectate. And from a young age, well, I won't even say a young age, but from just first getting into the scene and meeting him and everyone else in the sport, I just kind of spectated, played my role, and was the quiet guy and just sat back. And even from then, just sitting back, I could see the work ethic that he put in. And I remember not feeling worthy myself because, in the sport of NASCAR, there's a lot of big Division I guys, a lot of guys who came from huge high schools. Some even had stints at the professional level. And, you got me. I played Division II ball. Not a knock against it because I love my school. But I wasn't one of those guys that was a starter. In fact, I had one career start my whole year. Out of all 4 years at Catawba, had one career start. So I felt a little bit out of place when I first got into the sport, hearing the stories about, oh, this guy played at USC, or this guy played at Carolina, or this guy played with the Cowboys. It's just like, well, those are some superb athletes. And my whole identity issue when I first got into the sport was, okay, how am I going to fit in? And I'm like, am I, biting off too much that I can chew? Like, is this too much for me? Can I honestly do this? And, one thing that I do love about myself, and one thing that I will stand firm on, is being in the weight room. I love the weight room. I love lifting weights. And I'm one of those guys. I might not be that confident if we go put on some cleats and we're like, all right, let's go cover some routes, or let's go run a 40-yard dash. Yeah, you might see me, kind of duck off to the back a little bit, dodging some smoke. But if you tell me let's go put some straps on and let's go in the weight room and load up the bar, I'm gonna be right there in the front of the pack, because that was what my calling was when I was growing up. My dad had my brother and I in the weight room from a young age, and I spent countless of hours in the weight room with my dad. And honestly, that's how our bond got so tight with my brother and my dad, was through those summers of not going on vacations. When you see your friends on vacation, my dad just had us in the weight room lifting over and over and over again. And that built confidence in me, and that also helped me gain confidence in who I am as a person today, because there's something about having weight on your back or weight on your chest, knowing that there's not that many people out there that can push it up. And when you get under it, all right, I got this. I can push it up. So being in the weight room, like I said, is one of those things that gives me that confidence, gives me that little itch. And I got it with NASCAR from Hollywood. I got it from him. He gave me the words of encouragement that allowed me to run in front of the car and, set that tire and get to the rear quickly, and, just being confident when you're doing it. And I have a video on my phone still to this day. When I was at Stewart-Haas, I had a little GoPro on my helmet, and in the video you can hear Hollywood screaming, "Conviction! Throw that tire with conviction!"
Yes.
And in the video, when my head pans up after I hang the tire, you can see like an aerial view of the whole practice department, the back pad of the building. You can see it, and you can see some of the older guys all on the other side, just conversing with themselves and being to themselves. And it was me and Logan Brott. We were both the only Devo guys at that time. And there's Hollywood right there with us, sitting on the wall, coaching us up. Even our coaches in that view, you can see them on the other side, but there's Hollywood sitting right there on the wall. And that says a lot about a person. And Logan and I, we talked a lot about that when we were both at Catawba. We talked about Hollywood. We were like, he actually helps us a lot. He helps us a lot. And we're like, that's a good dude. And whenever other younger guys would come in, he would do the same thing for them. Help them out. And maybe one day I can do the same. I just want to create my path and navigate through life and take it wherever I want to go. Like I said on my last podcast, I said my dream isn't to work in NASCAR forever. My dream is to have a coffee shop. I mean, that's my dream, and I don't know how to navigate it right now, but I'll figure it out. But I'll figure it out. But I want to talk to Ern a little bit about some of his college football stories, because that's one thing we always talk about football and all, and he makes fun about Catawba. But I want to hear a little bit about your football journey a little bit.
And I want to get on that, but I also want to go back to a couple of things that you just said, especially when you referred to yourself being worthy and the word confident, right? As long as you got God on your side, you're always worthy, And I'm a big person when it comes to confidence, right? To me, that says a lot about a person. If some people are too confident, some people aren't confident enough, right? So you have to just be just right. And I used to suffer from that when I was younger. until, like I said, my older brother came up to me one time. He said, "Hey, man, like, don't forget who you are." And that's the thing about the sport is, everybody comes from these different backgrounds in these different areas, but understand that they're where you are. So they're still where you are. And the thing about NASCAR is, once they're down to your level, that's an even playing field now. Now we're together. You could be from Penn State, you could be from Oklahoma State, you can be a national championship, but we're on the same football field now, and you have to go against me. Now can you get that 3rd and 1? When it's me and you lined up, the line ain't there, just me and you. Who wants it more? Mm-hmm. Who wants to get that yard more? Who's hungrier? And so you can come from those backgrounds all you want, but like I said, are they going to outwork you? Are they going to outwork you in that weight room that you like being in? We're in the off season right now. Is everybody grinding as hard as you are right now? Or are they grinding more than you are right now? That's the thing about all that. So I as far as worthy goes, it is what it is. But like I said, I think when God on your side, man, you always got to be confident. You know what I mean? So that's very important to me when a person is confident. Because like I said, look at you now. You're a threat. You done went from being a guy that was, like you said, not as confident. You didn't feel worthy. And now you're putting up numbers. Now you're turning heads. You know what I mean? All it took was a little extra work in the gym, and now look at you. And then you're still young, man. You know what I mean? So you could be as great as you want to be at this point.
Yeah, that's I never even thought of it that way, of being from nothing to now you're turning heads. I guess that's just how life is, I guess. You can look at that in anything in life. You can be a guy, flipping burgers, and then who knows, 5 years from now you can own the place.
Yep.
5 years from then you can be the CEO of the whole company. It's just really, if you put your head down and just get laser focused, and you're like, all right, no matter what happens along the way, if I get bumped and bruised up a little bit, if I fall down, I'm just get back up. I think the saying is, was it get knocked down 7 times, stand up 8?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. But actually, I put a quote up yesterday on my Facebook, and I literally said, you literally could be one conversation away from your entire life changing. Every day. Just one conversation can change your life every single day. And once you think about that, it's really true. All it takes is one conversation for somebody to recommend you to something. One conversation can get you a job. One conversation, but it goes both ways. It can get you fired. It could put bad dirt on your name. But if you're a good person, we've seen guys like you said, for example, where you could be a guy working the register, and we've heard stories of a guy working the register because he was a great employee. A couple of years later, he owned the entire restaurant, and he's pulling in $200K a year on his first year. So just continue to be a good person, continue to work hard. Somebody's going to notice, right? Just like, when you came to Stewart-Haas and you just said, like, you noticed me doing stuff. And I didn't know that at all. I'm just in there doing my regular routine, grinding, trying to be the best I can be. And look, it inspired you, right? So eventually you'll be that older guy that's got the younger guy coming in there that don't know nothing. He's just trying to figure out how to put his pitch shoes on and how to strap his helmet up. Everybody's over there not paying that guy no mind. But eventually, I was that guy you were. I had to come into a building, bright-eyed, didn't know what was going on. I'm thinking everybody's the best. I'm like, man, everybody's getting it in. And then eventually I'm like, you know what? I can be just as good as that guy. But it also happened because somebody passed knowledge to me as well. So, when I'm going and possibly coaching somewhere, that's your job at that point, to go help that one guy over there that nobody's helping or nobody's overlooking, so.
Yeah, one conversation away from your life changing. That might be like a tattoo I get or something. I'm not even gonna lie. That just hit me, and I'm like, dang, that is crazy. Because it's so true in any aspect of life. Like, you can walk up to a girl, see her, and just spit a little bit of game, and next thing you know, she your wife.
Exactly.
Y'all got kids now.
Yep.
One conversation away. That really is true. So what happens with the saying, closed mouths don't get fed? How would you say that plays into it?
I believe it's true. you know, and sometimes you have to be a pain in the behind, you know, to get an opportunity. I mean, that's how I got my first job as far as at a major team. You know, I'd had to text those guys hoping that I'd get a text back. I have to call those guys, leave a message hoping that eventually somebody will call me back, right? And if your mouth is closed, you know, the worst thing they can say is no. That's one thing about it. It's either yes or no. That's literally a 50% chance every time. I don't believe in maybes. Maybes to me is no. But if you believe in yes and no, it's a 50% chance, right? That's pretty good odds. That's real high. If you hitting 50% in baseball, you having a hell of a year, right? Yeah. If you shooting 50% in basketball, that's a hell of a year. So there's really not no sport other than like maybe football where if you're doing something 50% of the time and it's successful, that's a great day. You know what I mean? And that's how you got to view it. So if you keep your mouth shut, that's cool. I'm going to open my mouth. And that goes back to that confidence thing, right? You got to have confidence in a person you might be talking to. If you go up to them confident, like, hey, man, you know what? This guy right here really wants to be here, you know? And if you can be scared all you want, but somebody's going to take the reins after that.
Yeah. I was just at Penske earlier talking to our recruiter, Daryl, about, you know, not being like an extrovert or introvert. I said, I feel like I kind of live like in between the middle a little bit. I was saying it really just depends on the setting I'm in. If I'm, you know, with my boys, and it don't matter where we are, I'm gonna be a talkative person. Yeah. Like I'm gonna talk. But if I'm, you know, with those certain people, they're still my friends, but you know, we're not like tight like that. I'm gonna kind of sit back a little bit and just, you know, be quiet. But I do believe that closed mouths don't get fed at all, and maybe that's the next stepping point or turning point in my life is just learning to walk into a room and not being afraid to say anything, not being afraid to say, hey, what's up, not being afraid to be like, my name's Jordan, how are you, you know, and that can just come from anything. You know, I don't know where I got this from, like what book I got it from, but I remember some author said, always talk to the guy sitting on the bench at the park. And he didn't like literally mean that, but he meant that just don't walk past people in life and not expect anything from them. Like, you never know who you're walking by every single day. You just never know. And I'm a prime example of that, especially being in NASCAR. I don't know everybody, but sometimes you'll be talking to someone and next thing you know, somebody will come up to you and be like, you were just talking to them? You know who that is? And you're like, nah, who is it? Oh, that dude's the owner of Ford. Like, his dad or his great grandpa is Henry Ford. It's like, yeah, that's how it is. Yeah. It's like, what? But I do believe sometimes, like, especially for me, it's probably better for me sometimes not to know who that person is, so I could just be normal and not, you know, kind of put on a show. But Marita, she said that on the podcast yesterday. She said, just don't be a chameleon. She was like, don't be a chameleon in the room. She was like, just be your true self no matter where you're stepping into. She was like, just don't try to change who you are because of this person's in the room. She was like, just be your authentic self and you'll be surprised on how drastically your life can change just by being yourself. But I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna do a better job of doing that. But another thing I want to hit on, let's get back to football.
I know I got us a little sidetracked there, but a little off script, but you know, hey, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about football with you, like what it means to you.
What football means to me now?
I guess just say your whole life building up to this point.
Football taught me a lot, right? The thing about me, man, is, and I'm glad we can keep it real on this show, right? Mm-hmm. When I was in high school, man, you know, I was feeling myself. You know, I was an arrogant guy. I was cocky, you know. I thought I was the best thing smoking. You know, you couldn't get better than Hurricane Hollywood, you know. At the time, it was Hurricane Ernesto. That's what my nickname, Hurricane Ernesto. And the thing about all that, man, once I left that level, you know, you get a humbling experience. You know, you get amongst different people from different cities, different states. When I went to Fort Union Military Academy my senior year, that's when I got to see, with real, them boys was hitting. They was hitting different, Think about Fort Union, because it's a military academy. I was playing guys where, you had sometimes the whole defense was going to the SEC, right? Safety, all this, in high school you probably got maybe one or two big guys on the opposite team. They hitting, but they like, all right, I can outrun them. Man, I got to Fort Union, and Fort Union is the number one recruited high school in America. But when I started playing those big safeties, them 6'2", they 215, 220. At the time, I'm 195, 205, and they hitting after the whistle.
Hitting after the whistle.
They throw me on my head. I remember, I think it was the first play, and I got hit, and they was talking some crazy trash, bro. And I'm not used to that, at the high school, I'm a tough guy, at my high school at the time. But I was like, boy, these boys just hitting after the whistle. Boy, they getting it in. Now, eventually, I started getting it off. I started getting off on them. But so that was kind of the transition into, my college thing. But yeah, man, the thing about me is I never can say, as far as my college career, that I was this huge standout football player, man, because I always got into, issues and, things like that. Always getting into it with other players and, losing playing time because of that, or a lot of times too also getting hurt, So I don't have no film of something crazy going on at the college level, man. But like I said, when you have a bad attitude, that kind of stuff doesn't help. And that's one thing I guess you could say it helped me learn over time, right? It took me a long time to calm down having an attitude problem, right? Getting into it with coaches and things like that. Always trying to be a tough guy with everybody, man. And the thing about all that, man, it never done any good. Never. The result was never a positive one, right? And then I take that and I bring it into life, man. I'm like, you can't walk around acting like a fool all the time. It's okay maybe when you're younger. People don't really pay it no mind, Yeah. Okay, well, he's just a young guy, But when you get older, you look like a fool, bruh. It's immature and all that. So I took them life lessons, it taught me a lot. It taught me how to deal with rejection. It taught me how to deal with heartbreak. Well, my last year, I was, getting it in the college level. I was healthy for a season all of a sudden. And I remember the fourth game of the year, I had a friend look at me, and he literally said, "Man, Hollywood, man, we haven't heard your name in a while." And I'm looking. I'm like, oh, man. I'm fired. I was a very fiery player, man. And I remember I went and knocked the bejesus out of that quarterback. I tried to take his helmet off. And I remember sitting there, man, and my shoulder felt weird. I'm like, yo. And I hit the guy so hard, I didn't realize I knocked my own helmet off. I bust my lip. My mouth was bleeding. And I get up. I'm like, yo, this doesn't feel right, man. And then I go to the sideline, and I'm like, this is out of place. And they said, hey, man, where's your mouthpiece at? I said, man, they don't hit hard enough out here for me to put no mouthpiece in my mouth, man. And they working that shoulder. They working it, boy. And I remember they said, hey, Aaron, we got to take this to the locker room. So
Yeah.
If you got to take it away from the main crowd, buddy, it hurt. So I dislocated my shoulder and tore my rotator cuff, man. But to be honest, that was one of the worst times of my life, because now it's my eligibility's running out. We didn't have the transfer portals and all that. If you transferred, you had to sit out a year. And I used to sit in a room, and I'm wondering to myself, I got a degree. I had a degree already, and I was trying to get my master's. And I'm like, yo, what else am I going to do now? What else can I do? It felt like the room was getting smaller. I was going through a depressional phase, man. I was dealing with, I didn't go to class no more. My surgery's coming up. The girl I was talking to at the time, she left me. They always say when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
So it was all hit me at once, right? I'm like, man, they can't get no worse than this. It really can't, man. And I'm in the room, man. I remember I was just sitting in my drawers looking crazy. And I remember I ended up leaving the school, and I was at home, man, depressed. I didn't know what to do anymore. I didn't know what my life was going to be like. And I remember I had a friend named Lamar Neal who carries on the 8 car. I remember one day he was coming into town, and he said, hey, man, you want to come see me? And at the time, it's like a 45-minute drive. And you know how it is. When you're going through it, you don't want to get off out that bed. But something told me to get up and get out that bed that day. And I remember I went to the restaurant he was at, and he just happened to look at me. He said, hey, man, are you all right? And I said, I ain't going to lie to you, man. No, I'm not. I said, I'm not all right. And that's when he came up to me, and he was like, look, man, you know, he was already in NASCAR. So he said, man, look, you know, next time they host a combine, I'm gonna let you know about it. And at the time, I'm like, yeah, all right, man. You know, you just gotta tell me what I want to hear. We talking like an 8-month gap, a month gap. And I remember specifically when they got around that time, he damn sure called me, man. And even that story is crazy because the combine was supposed to be in Norfolk State that year, and I remember. And I was at Norfolk a year, you know, at this point. So I'm going back to the school. I'm taking laps around the track, warming up, breaking a good sweat, you know. And then I'm looking, I go to the gym where it's supposed to be at. And I'm like, hey, why is the basketball team in here doing layups? Dudes shooting 3-pointers.
Yeah.
I'm the only one there. I said, yo, what's going on? And the conditioning coach said, man, they moved it, man. They canceled it here. And I'm sitting there like, man, I finally get an opportunity, and we canceled it. And then I remember I called Coach Holden at the time. I didn't know Coach Holden at the time, you know. So I called him. I said, hey, man, like, what's the deal? He said, man, they didn't have enough participants. And I thought that was insane. I'm like, yo, we got, you know, Lamar Neal, we had some of the most people at the time from the diversity program in NASCAR. So I'm thinking, why ain't the school stepping it up? Like, we need to be putting more people in here. And I remember specifically, bro, I said, where y'all at tomorrow? He said, man, we're going to be at Virginia State. You can come. Virginia State's like an hour and a half out. So the next day, I kid you not, I get in my love machine. That's my F-150, the red truck. And I'm driving. And I get probably 15 minutes up the street. All the power basically cuts off in the truck. I can't see how fast I'm going. The radio's not working, so I'm humming. And at the time, I literally was like, hey, man, like, I can turn back or I can keep going, right? And it kind of goes back to that Bible verse that you like, when it was saying, you know, who will basically go forth. And
Isaiah 6:8.
And I said, send me. And I kid you not, I just started tearing up. I said, I'm going to go and just have faith that God is sending me this direction. And I kid you not, I'm still driving, can't see how. And I remember I got probably within, I would say, 4 or 5 miles of the school, and all the power, like literally the power steering goes out. I basically crashed the truck into the local Burger King. And I Ubered from the Burger King to Virginia State. And that's when I first got to meet Horton. I told the guy straight up, I said, hey, man, I don't know how I'm going to get back home. But I'm here to get it in. I'm the only one from Norfolk State here. They probably had about 30 people from Virginia State. And I kid you not, I was the only guy that got selected from that whole group. And I remember he told us to send him a text message of why we want to be here. I'm like, man, I can take you by my truck at that Burger King. Let you know I really want to be here. Yeah. And he looked at me. I remember before I even got home, he said, hey, man, you'll be good. You straight. And that led to me getting into the sport right there. But I had nothing to lose. I was depressed. I felt like I had nothing at the time. And I said, you know what? God told me keep driving, because my life could have been totally different if I'd have turned that truck around. But I had faith that I'm going this direction for a reason.
Yeah, that's. I don't think you ever told me that story.
Nah, a lot of people don't know that story.
That's a story.
Yeah.
That triumphs anybody's NASCAR story, I think. I mean, you say you wrecked on the
Yeah, I wrecked it to the Burke. I was about to get something to eat while I was there. I said, well, I'm already in the drive-thru. I might as well get a number 2, you know? Because I was at the combat a little early anyway.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy story. I was going to say, you know, about being where God wants you to be. I think that's why I was at Catawba, to lead into where I'm at now, because not many people know this, but when was it? I want to say around Christmas time. Actually, no, around Thanksgiving time of senior year in high school, I committed to Tusculum, which is a small D2 college in Tennessee, Greenville, Tennessee. I committed there just to play baseball. That was it. I wasn't going to do football. I was just going to grind it out, do baseball. Everybody that knows me know I love the mountains, so that was like the perfect place for me to be. And we went up there for that visit.
Got your overalls.
Yeah. Went up there for that visit. I'm up there excited. My dad looking at me, he's excited. My mom, I look at her, she's just disgusted. Like, she's mad. And I'm like, what's your problem? She was like, you ain't going here. And I was like, oh yeah? You don't think I'm going here? Yeah, she's like, I know you're not going here. I was like, all right. That's right, wow. On the way home, I texted Coach. I said, Coach, I'm excited to come. I'm committing. She didn't even. Verbal. It's verbal. Yeah, it was verbal. It was verbal. She didn't even know, because they put a paper in front of me to sign when I was there on the visit. And he was like, you know what? Take it home, look at it a little bit, and then hit me back up in a week and see what you think. Because he knew at the time, because the coach who offered me 2 years prior, he was an assistant baseball coach at Catawba. He coached baseball there.
So you know what's up.
He knew what was up. He knew that Catawba was recruiting me, and being in the same conference. And at that time, Tusculum and Catawba were like running the conference in baseball. So he already knew what was up, especially since I played summer ball for the Catawba head coach.
Yeah, he didn't see you.
He knew what was
seen
up.
Your feel.
Yeah, so I verbally committed there, and I was like, yeah, forget Catawba. I'm getting out of Salisbury, because that was my whole thing. I don't know why that was probably the immaturity of me. I used to base success on, being away from home, getting out and doing your own thing. That's how I saw success. And I would say that just because, even though my dad his hometown's only 2 hours from Salisbury, he's from Seneca, South Carolina. It's like 2 hours exact from Salisbury, but his whole life story, him coming from South Carolina, going to North Carolina, meeting his wife, creating our family, and then my brother doing the complete opposite, being in Salisbury, going back home to where he's from. So I just kind of saw, all right, getting away from home is how you are successful, because that's just what was in my head. And my whole thing was, I don't want to be in Salisbury my whole life. I said that 1,000 times. I said, I'm not going to be in Salisbury my whole life. I'm not going to Catawba. There ain't no way. Because Catawba is legit 8 minutes from my house. 8 minutes. And I remember after I verbally committed to to Tusculum, we get back home probably, I want to say, so that was Thanksgiving time, probably 2-3 weeks later, it's getting closer to Christmas. Curtis Walker, for those of you who don't know, Jalen Walker, the guy who just won the best linebacker in college football award, that is his father, Curtis Walker, who was the head coach at Catawba at that time. But anyway, he hits me up and he was like, hey, me and Coach Gant, which is the baseball coach at Catawba, we've been talking about you and like giving you some sort of like some dual scholarship to play both. We're gonna allow you to do it. And that was the only school who's gonna let me do both. So playing two sounds better than one. So I was like, I don't hate football as much as I thought I did. I was like, you know what, I'll try it out. So we go there, we talk, and you know, they're feeding me everything I want to hear.
You know they always do that.
They feed me everything I want to hear because my dad played at Catawba.
Schools are known for that.
Yeah, my dad played at Catawba. I mean, my dad, he was pretty good at Catawba. I remember when they were talking to me, they literally had the number 55 jersey sitting there. Mm-hmm. That was my dad's jersey.
Yeah, you see, look at that.
And
they know
Pops
the man. Let me show you this jersey.
Because my whole life growing up, like my room still to this day in my parents' house is decorated in Catawba paraphernalia. Like it's literally, I literally have a 55 jersey. Well, it's my dad's jersey hanging above my bed. Because when I was a little kid, I always just said I want to be like my dad. So that's why when they put that jersey in front of me, I'm like, oof. This sounds like this could be a good story.
Like right here.
Yeah, this sounds good.
The legend's son's coming. You're the return.
Yeah, the return.
The lineage.
I'm thinking of some like Star Wars type thing, like Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Thinking I'm gonna be a villain or something.
Yeah. I'm gonna set the tone early when I get there.
So they put that jersey in front of me, and I'm like, yeah, I think this is home.
This is the spot.
All the predetermined, I'm not staying in Salisbury talk, all that left my head immediately as soon as I saw that 55 jersey. So right there on the spot, I committed to Catawba. Did baseball for 2 years, football for 4.
You know, not to cut you off, I gotta. How'd that other coach feel?
So
when y'all played that rival school, what was it?
So the way it ended up happening, I didn't even text him because I was scared to text him, honestly, because I felt like I had like this close connection with him.
Yeah, he about to be tight.
Yeah, so I didn't want to like make him mad, so because it was just a verbal.
Yeah.
So I could do that. Like
you could. I didn't know like if y'all played them, you know, they might have beamed you with the ball. Or what.
so this is how it worked. After I committed to Catawba, I say a week after that, he sends me a text. Hey, what's up, Jordan? How's everything going? I still got the text saved in my phone.
He probably already know what was up at the time.
Let me see. I'm pretty sure I still have this.
He already knew what was up.
Bro, that's crazy. I still have it saved.
Oh, he ain't text you back after that?
Nah, he ain't text me back. But he hit me up first and he said, you know, word on the street is you committed to Catawba. Is that true? I said, yes, sir. And then I just thanked him for everything. Blase. Long story short, as soon as baseball season starts up, he ended up leaving and he left Tusculum and went to ETSU. Ended up coaching there, so we're gonna have to see him anyway. But
everything kind of happened because he might have been leaving anyway.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
You could have you could have left anyway at that point.
Yeah, and the reason why I say like Catawba's a blessing in disguise because by me being able to easily, you know, be able to navigate and get up to Stewart-Haas, being in Catawba is a 25-minute drive from campus. Mm-hmm. You can easily get up there and be back before class, or even hit up a professor and be like, you know, I'm gonna be like 20 minutes late to class because I got this little internship going on. That's easy money. But if I'm at Tusculum, that's no longer in the discussion. That's all the way in Tennessee.
That's it.
And I'm not thinking about NASCAR.
Like I said, your whole destiny could have been different.
Yeah, so my mom brought that to my attention after I had signed with Stewart-Haas, that little $300 contract.
She wanted to remind you that.
Yeah, she was like, that's why you're at Catawba right there. And I was like, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're all right. And now, as time just progresses, I start to see that really is a reason why I was at Catawba. But, you know, just not blocking your blessings and just trusting what God has in store for you is one of the most profound things you can do in life. Sometimes you just got to sit there and just let him do the work. Mm-hmm. You know, they literally say, let Jesus take the wheel.
I say that's it's beauty in dealing with diversity, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times, you know, that's once it's all said and done, we hate being there, right? It's not fun. It's not fun not feeling good or not being happy about your situation or what's going on. I mean, think about it, even with you, right? You just said you was getting $300, right? That could turn a lot of people like, man, ain't no way. Ain't no way I can do this for $300 and survive, right? And then you keep grinding, you keep working, you keep believing, and eventually that bigger contract comes. There's a lot of guys, like I said, it's a 50-50 thing. A lot of guys bounce. And then the blessing, they don't get that same blessing, right? And what the Bible say, all you need is faith the size of a mustard seed.
Yep.
That's how much you need to believe in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And God's got the rest of the way for you.
Yeah.
If I didn't go to that restaurant, my whole life would be different because I was feeling bad. If you didn't see that 55 jersey number, your whole life could be different. Just literally, just one thing. That's all it takes. Everything goes back to the conversation. All it takes is one little event in your life to alter everything. It's like a butterfly effect. If you didn't do this, this could be the result, right? If I didn't get into NASCAR, I wouldn't be as disciplined as I am right now. I would still be probably that little hothead guy doing nothing. But NASCAR taught me discipline. It taught me how to be a true professional. It taught me that I'm in a room now with billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've been in a room with millionaires. I ain't been in a room with a lot of billionaires until I got to NASCAR, right? And it shows you how to navigate. Now you're learning the tools of how to be a professional. So whenever you need a job, maybe later on, you rub shoulders with this person before, right? Mm-hmm. So everything goes back to just one event, one conversation, 50-50.
Yeah. One thing that I like to think about, I tell my mom and dad this all the time, and my brother. One day, me, Ern, and Haji, we were sitting here at our house on the couch. It was like a Wednesday, probably like, I'm gonna say like 2 o'clock. Ern and Haji were playing NCAA. I'm just sitting here chilling, watching them play. And Ern was like, "Bro, you realize how blessed we are?" It was like, it's a Wednesday, it's 2 o'clock, we ain't got nothing to do. We just chilling, playing the video game. We getting paid. Like, the situation that we're in right now in life. Some days I just wake up and I'm like, sometimes it almost seems too good to be true. Sometimes, like, it really does. That's how I see it, because like the NFL guys and all those other professional athletes, they do a lot of stuff, like an extreme amount of stuff. I'm not saying we don't do a lot either, but we do a lot too. But it's like ours is kind of like a not so much known industry right now for like the pit crew guys. Like, a lot of people have questions of, what does a work week look like for y'all? Like, what do? You do this, you do that, you work on the car, what do you do? A lot of people just don't know about it right now. So that's why on the outside looking in, a lot of people, they're like, really? You just relaxing right now? Like,
you chilling?
Yeah, you chilling?
You playing Madden?
Yeah.
They at work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can remember the day that everything changed for me. I still remember this day. It was actually a 2-day event prior to everything changing. My life literally changed. But the week of the Pocono race, I'm here in Mooresville, just chilling, getting ready to go to Power Cross, getting ready to go to work. And I always call Ern, or we would always catch up a little bit, even though I wasn't on the car at the time, just about like the previous week's race, just like, yo, all this. And Ern said to me on the phone, he was like, "Hey, you better be ready, because you might be going in."
I think you hurt you heard something that week.
I hurt my Achilles.
Yeah, Achilles. I said, "Hey, man, you put an ice that ankle up, or whatever the hell you got going on, you better get it right."
Yeah, because I was showing these kids a drill, like a cutting drill for football, and my cleat got kind of stuck in the turf a little bit, and it tweaked my Achilles a little bit, and it was hurting actually a lot. But yeah, Ern, he was like, you better rest up or something. He was like, because you might be going this week. So to give you more context on that, it had been 2 years since then of me not ever being on a car, not ever even going to a race, doing anything. And then just out of the blue, Ernst says that to me. So I'm like, what? I'm like, he just saying that, like, because yeah, because I always used to tell him, I'm like, yo, like, I feel like I should be going to the track. And he was like, just be patient. And just this random day he says it. So I'm like, is this one of those encouraging things, or is like he actually knows something? So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, all right, I'll take it. I take it for what it is. And I say 20 minutes later, Courtney Edmonds calls me from Penske, and he was like, hey, you might be going in this week. And I was like, what? So I called Ern back, and Ern was like, bro, what did I just tell you? He was like, just know you might be going in. So then the next day, I'm sitting in Charlotte at the Giddy Goat coffee shop. See how I remember that? The Giddy Goat. Yeah. I'm sitting there at the coffee shop, and I get a text from Coach Ray. He says, you got any plans this weekend? You pretty open? And I think I did have something planned, but you just tell him straight up. I don't have nothing planned.
Yeah, I was just gonna be chilling.
Yeah, because I think I did have something planned, but it don't matter no more.
Not at this point.
Yeah, so I said, I'm free. I'm not doing anything. And he was like, all right, good. He was like, just stay by your phone. Within the next hour or two, he was like, some changes could be happening. So I'm like, whoa, what? Like, my heart is beating now because I'm like, what does this mean? I'm like, am I getting ready to get called up or something? Then an hour later, I'm sitting in Trader Joe's getting ready to buy some protein powder. And
protein powder.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the line, and my phone rings, and it's Coach Ray. And he calls me. He says, tomorrow at practice, you're going to be going with the 21. We're going to get you hooked up with a radio, head socks, all the apparel you need. You're going to be on the 21 in Pocono, and you're going to be on it for the rest of the year. And I remember when he said that, I almost dropped the phone. Like, my phone literally was about to slide out of my hand because my hand started sweating and everything.
It's time to get in there now.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh my gosh. And I immediately called my mom and dad right after I got off the phone with him. I called them, and my dad, he has like this distinctive like laugh that almost is kind of like a sad kind of like laugh a little bit. It's kind of like when people are like crying tears of joy, like tears of joy. It's proud, like, bro. It's one of those type of laughs, and I could literally, very proud. I heard it in his laugh, like he was just proud because he knew how long, and
it's got to be a good feeling.
Mm-hmm, and how hard
as a son, and Pops, I know Pops a tough guy, so I know he don't cry often, so. Just to hear that different tone in the voice. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was.
He about to grab a napkin out there.
Yeah, he started clapping and everything. Yeah, I could hear him in the background clapping. I was like, this is crazy. And I called Ern right after that. See, that's the chain of command with me. It go my parents, then Ern. That's how it is. But I called Ern. He was like, I told you. He said, I told you.
Ern knows everything.
Yeah, he said, I told you, bro. And I remember that whole week of practice, everything went great. Everything was surreal for me, getting the helmet situated. Like, just every little detail was a lot. And I can remember getting my crew shirt. Yeah. Me being a little kid. As soon as I went home, I put that crew shirt on, put the hat on, looking in the mirror. I was like, yeah, I look good. But I remember I showed up to the airport that Sunday. That's the earliest I ever showed up to anything in my life.
Yeah, I said, man, you here a little early. It was only one car in the parking lot. It's yours.
Boy, I couldn't sleep that night. I was so ready. I'm over here looking up everything about the track.
Yeah,
learning the history of it when it opened up and everything. But I get to the airport, and Ern and Courtney, they are just like going in on me because my crew shirt at the time was huge. It was like humongous.
The biggest damn shirt. It's like that walk on in football. They toss him a 4XL. Yeah. Here, bro, take this one.
Give me a camp shirt.
Yeah. Number 87 and all that. Linebacker.
So it was funny and all, but I remember just getting on the plane, flying there, landing, going to the track, setting up the box, putting on the uniform. And I think when I put on the uniform, I was the last one out the hauler. When I put the uniform on, I can remember I literally bent over onto like the little table, and I got in like a praying position, and I just said, "Thank you, God." That's all I said. And then I walked out there, go to the box. Everything's all set up. We're stretching and everything. National anthem goes on. And then when they start their engines up, that's when I was like, I'm here. I've arrived.
Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm like,
yep.
It's the most surreal moment ever. And that's when I knew that all you have to do is trust in the process and put one foot in front of the other, and God will lead you along the way.
And this is a guy that thought he wasn't worthy.
But yeah.
He wasn't worthy, making $300. It's amazing how that works, ain't it? Mm-hmm. You could have still been cutting grass at the golf course.
I forgot about that.
if you just, that's all it is, man. You was patient. Sometimes you weren't. I remember getting those calls too, man. What's going on? I said, hey, trust me. It's gonna happen. We always want everything to happen immediately, and then sometimes you gotta realize if God gives it to you too early, you might not be ready. Mm-hmm. That extra couple of months, if you go back and look at your film during that time, I guarantee it wasn't as good as when you did get called up.
Nowhere near.
You know what I mean? So all that rushing, I gotta get it now. Hey, you can get it now. You can get your ass sat back on that bench too.
Yeah.
But now look, once you got your blessing, the first thing you did was thank God, right? Because that's who did it. Sometimes, God might have put me in your life just to encourage you sometimes, and vice versa, man. You keep me on my toes. I got to go upstairs, and I say it every night. Lord, I thank you for this brother because, he makes me want to be a better person for somebody else, right? Because I know you look up to me and you told me that, right? So I try my best to just be a good example. I try not to get too pissed off and try to always be encouraging. Because like I said, I've had dark times and rough times, and we all got a story. But I just wish I had somebody I could look up to like you do. I was doing it. I'm like, man, this is just terrible. But so I always gotta try to be the best example for you. Like I said, and later on you pass it on to the next guy.
Yeah. I know Ernest got to get on down the road, so I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up. But this is a nice little podcast. Don't think this is just it, because this guy ain't gonna be on here plenty more times. But this is pretty much the start of it. I finally got it set up, and now we're just gonna, keep it coming, keep it rolling off, and it's just gonna be more and more and more good stories to come out of it. And as he helps me, hopefully, or I know that his words of encouragement will also help someone else out there, someone we might not even know, because this podcast can reach anyone in the world, and that's the great thing about technology nowadays. But that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening, and as always, this is a Good Evil Life podcast, and always training, living, learning. Have a blessed one.
I've been running late, I've been tempting fate, I think I lost my way, my mind feels like a stranger, I can't seem to take it when you all seem to bring me. I need to go change this, but I am not complaining.